So I'm here to confess. It's in the middle of the night for all my U.S. friends on here, but for those of you across the pond, actually on this side of the world where I am, so I'm in Ireland still, I'm here to confess something and then also share a pretty cool story that I hope helps to land you, propel you, push you, urge you, inspire you, motivate you to that next biggest project that you have in your heart, that you have had in your mind, that you have had in your journals, that you have had on inspiration boards, etc., etc., etc. So I'm about 20 minutes from, where am I? I'm 20 minutes from the cliffs of Moher, which completely lived up to the hype, and it's just so peaceful. It's so peaceful here. I've had friends comment on the last two photos that I posted saying, you look so relaxed. Clearly Ireland is doing great things for you, and Ireland is pretty amazing. It did make me think though, oh, how cute. I'm seeing a little baby calf with her mama. But it did make me laugh and think, wow, I must not look relaxed. in most of the other photos that I share when I'm home. Anyways, so anyway, I had a nice chuckle with that because it's not true, but I think there is definitely truth to how we all experience travel and our wanderlust and just generally how connected we feel to ourselves, to our soul, to source. So first the confession. So it says low network connection. Darn farn. Let me get over here. I thought this might happen. I thought. Let's see. Low network connection. Come on, help me out here. Gigi Dino. Low network connection. It said it had great 3G. Ooh, connection available. Sweet. I just need 5 minutes of good connection to share this message. So first, I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. First, confession time. So many months back, I shared with you on a live stream as well that I was going to be sharing sort of my process, sort of real-time process around the writing of this book about death, which is really writing a book about life. And, just with the sort of the heart soul of the book is really about understanding, seeing, feeling death as really a part of the life cycle. And there's so much more to it, but I don't want to give too much away. And I promised that I would share the journey, writing this book. And I just have a very short thing to share with you, to update you on. Actually, a couple, which will then lead into, darn it, low network. No, I just need a couple minutes. The gods, the network, the high network gods, please come and help me complete this sharing. I'm just going to wait to see if it says high network connection and then continue. I think you might be able to still hear me, possibly, maybe. I might redo this live stream at another location, but this was just a perfect location to do this. Connection available. Okay. So confession number one, and then I'll tell you a really cool story and the purpose of this live stream. The confession is number one, that I'm really resisting, and maybe resisting is not the perfect word, but I'm resisting / feeling a lot around the writing of this book. Some of it has to do with some really personal stories, but it really mainly has to do with juggling the book and real life. By the way, I keep watching this cute little calf. Nolan, look at the cute little calf suckling on his mama. Do you see him? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Or do you see her, I mean. And so I've, been really trying to juggle. It says load network, but we're going to deal with it. I've been really, maybe it's not resisting, but more just juggling, the reality of juggling, writing the book, and also really wanting to create other things in the world. And as most of us know, whether we've written a book or not, writing a book, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of effort, there's a lot of hours, there's a lot of energy that goes into writing a book. So I'm holding that, I'm just being very real with myself. I'm having as much compassion with myself as possible. And I'm still completely dedicated, to writing this book. But the confession is that I've been sort of resisting it. How do I juggle, sort of in my head a little bit. And now here's sort of the purpose of this live stream. So we're driving through from the Cliffs of Moher to this other experience, and Josh says, "Oh, hey, look, there's and I forget the name of this. It used to be a church. Anyways, it's in County Clare, and it's this church that people come and photograph and whatnot. And I thought it was just going to be the ruins of a church." But in fact, no network connection. Come on, help me, just a few more minutes. But in fact, what we came to find is the cemetery. Now, the reason that the cemetery is important is because on this trip, and here's the speaking of heart and soul, the heart and soul of this message. On this trip, so we have gone to Paris, Berlin, and now here back to Ireland. It's been kind of a crazy, cool, I'm going to walk just to see. Do you know, Gigi, you want to help me out a little bit here for some good connection, for some high network connection so I can finish this message? All right. Thank you. So we go to Paris, Berlin, have been to Paris, Berlin, and now Ireland. Now, here's the crazy cool story that I wanted to share with you. And that is that without me trying, without me doing anything, my life, my days, my travel days, meaning the universe, the energy that exists in this universe has all conspired to help me at each stage of this trip to write this book, or in other words, to give me, produce for me the moments, the places to inspire, continue to inspire the writing, but that also just to give me the nudges, the hey, you're on the right track, just keep doing the thing. And what I mean by that is without trying, for example, in Paris, you guys, it keeps saying low network connection. I'm attempting to find all of my patience to keep recording. Actually, can you go on to Facebook and see if it's working? Because I'm not quite sure. I think if it says low network connection, it's still actually recording. But, connection available. Okay. Just go with me. Find your patience to watch the very end, because I promise it'll be good. So we go to Paris, and without trying, without planning this, friends of ours say, hey, actually before we got to Paris, our friends who we were meeting there said, hey, we have this experience scheduled to go to the catacombs underneath the city. You guys interested? I said, oh, that'd be awesome. It ended up being just a beautiful experience. Josh Mandel is watching. Josh, can you hear me? Or can you see me? Josh is literally just 40 feet away. And so we go to the catacombs. It was something so moving. It was, anyways, it was a private experience. So I was able to take some photos and I was very quiet throughout the whole experience because I was taking it in. I was meshing that experience with, some of the stories that I want to tell in the book and, the insight that I have for the book. And then, again, without trying, in Paris on July 16th, I had set up for myself, for my birthday on July 16th, this experience where this gentleman was going to walk with Josh and I. It was going to be sort of a walking tour, if you will, but sort of a journaling walking tour. So on this journaling walking tour, beyond, again, finding myself in the catacombs and being completely inspired and just curious and sort of really blown away by that catacomb experience. This other experience that I thought was just going to be this walking tour where we were going to journal, and he was going to show us how to create our own culture magazine. So there's honestly a whole story with that, but I won't go into it. We're walking. Well, two of the 4 places that this walk included, naturally, were through these 2 really important cemeteries in Paris. Okay. The day before that, the day we arrived to Paris, I just remembered, we realized that the place that we're staying in is right across the street, literally a stone's throw from another cemetery that has the tomb of, or I should say the burial ground of Manet. Noli, Manet was an impressionist, correct? Yeah. So we go there the very first day we land. So all of this, I mean, and literally, then we go to Berlin, and our hotel is 1, 2, 3 blocks. Our hotel in Berlin then is 3 blocks from a cemetery. And now in Ireland, and I've said this like 3 different times because we keep passing these really important cemeteries that we stop at, and we're here now at this church/cemetery. Now, here's the reason why this is so important, and I really hope and trust that this will guide you, help you, spark you in moving towards your next biggest project, your most purposeful project yet, your most creative project yet, your most expressive project yet. Because the reason that these different experiences, these cemeteries, these reminders of keep going, these reminders of, share what it is that's in your heart, share what it is that your life has been about, which my life has been about joy. And my life, to that joy, I believe, has sort of been instructed by loss, by quite a bit of loss since the time I was 5 years old with my immediate family. So I share this to say that once we say yes, like with me saying yes to this book, knowing this is what's in me, this is what is within me and what gets to come out of me to share with people, that once I said yes to that, everything, and I mean everything, has conspired, everything has easily and effortlessly come to find me, meaning the information that needs to be in this book, not only just within the ideas that I have, but for example, I had a friend who emailed me saying, hadn't heard from him in like 2 years, and he said, hey, I want to introduce you to this guy friend of mine. He's this really successful entrepreneur. He's now getting into the coaching space. You guys just have such a similar sort of view of the world and way about you. I think you guys really would connect. So long story short, we connect. I show up to coffee with this amazing gentleman by the name of Vish. And he tells me his story. I tell him my story. We connect. It's super fun. Within 5 minutes, he tells me I'm writing a book about death. Now, on that experience in Paris on July 16th, that gentleman as well told me I'm writing a book about death. Now, as Vish and I sat there, and he was like, hey, you got to look this particular philosophy up. You got to look this up for your book. Basically so much help. So much, not just like I was saying earlier, not just sort of guidance, or I should say signs or, nudges telling me that I'm on the right track, but literally people, these 2 people, the gentleman in Paris, the gentleman who I sat, and had coffee with in LA before I left on my trip. Literally these gentlemen are telling me that they are also writing, well, actually, excuse me, one of them, the gentleman in Paris had already written the book. So I have that book to look at and to, to dive into. But then also Vish was like, literally helping me with different other books and philosophers and different people that I should look into. And so even though I'm sitting here, again, I shared with you that I was sort of resisting. There has been every possible moment on this trip, sign, if you want to call it. Sometimes, sometimes there's not the right human word for what you're actually trying to say. It's not really a sign so much as it is like these sparks and this just beauty and truth in the beauty in the world, and how everything, once you say yes to what it is that your deeper purpose is, truly everything does really conspire to help you create that project. And so what I'm really here to share, and we're going to be sharing the space with some other people, so I'm going to quiet down a little bit. So what I'm really trying to share with you is that, similar to like when, let's say you buy a new BMW, all of a sudden you start seeing BMWs everywhere. Or like when I was first pregnant, or let's say like 5 months pregnant with Nolan, and I started, having a little bump, meaning my belly started to grow, right, with the baby inside. All of a sudden I started seeing pregnant women everywhere. It's the same thing with purpose. It's the same thing with that thing that we can't not do. In other words, this death book, whether I'm resisting it or not, I'm definitely committed to it. So I'm going for it. But it is that first yes. Like the second that you say yes to this thing, the how will present itself. The people will present itself. You won't even have to work very hard to get to those people. You will not have to work very hard to get to the right information for your book, for your new business project, for your new event, for your new experience, whatever it is. But the thing is that you have to step into it. Like that smallest next step, it has to be taken, because in that moment is when you start this really beautiful and magical energy that I'm talking about in this live stream, sharing with you how throughout these last 3 weeks of traveling, how there's been so many, and right before traveling, how there's been so many different people saying, essentially, you're on the right track. Here, let me help you. Here, look at this information and look at this. Like, I literally haven't had to do anything, to find these people or to find this information. But here's the thing: we have to make that first next step. We have to take that next right action towards purpose, because that's when we'll start to see, all the cemeteries that we need to inspire us to keep writing the death book. That's when we'll continue to meet, people randomly, right? Randomly, supposedly, on your Paris walking experiences, where you're supposedly, going to talk about culture and creating a culture magazine. But really what he tells you within the first, minutes is that he finished writing a death book. And, anyway, it's crazy cool. We could call it magical stuff, but truly you are, and we are so supported in our purpose when we start to make the smallest, and I mean the smallest, medium, biggest action, whatever size action. Once we start moving in that direction, effortlessness will come. The things that you most need for that project and that experience, that business idea, whatever it is, they will come to you. But they cannot come to you if the energetic match isn't there. So in other words, if you are keeping tight, right? If you're keeping tight to that idea, if you're staying at home, if you're not getting out to talk to people about the book that you're writing, or if you're not, getting, again, moving in the direction of that particular project, the energetic match to that project can't be found, or it cannot find you. And that's really sort of the end of this message, is that, the experiences, the people, the information for your next most purposeful, most creative, biggest project, biggest, most impactful project yet, all of those people and that information and those experiences, they want to find you. Like literally right now, they are looking for you, but they can't find you if you're at home keeping the idea to yourself. They can't find you if you're doubting your abilities. They can't find you if you haven't written the first paragraph of the book, the first outline of the book. So really the message here is to be the energetic match to the information, to the people, to the experiences, to the energy, the spark that you need to keep moving forward to get this next biggest, most impactful, project done. So yes. Hi, Rochelle. Hello, beautiful woman. So that's what this cemetery means to me, is like, literally it's like the 6th or 7th on my journey on this 3-week trip that I have not searched for, that has found me. This time it was Josh saying, hey, do you want to stop here? And I hadn't told him all of this yet. I was like really just letting all of this sort of insight and ideas sort of, I don't know. I was letting it all sort of percolate. But this morning he said, hey, do you want to stop into this church that's now a cemetery? I said, perfect. And then as I walked in here, I was like, I'm definitely, the connection might be not so great, but I'm going to try and record this live stream for everyone because it's a really important process. It's a really important process, this life process of being on purpose, of feeling purposeful, of feeling like our full potential, our creativity, our full expression. It is a process, and here's the thing: process not bad, process as in good. The more that we can enjoy that process and we can make it really effortless, if we are every day in whatever small, medium, large way that we can, beautiful birds passing through, that we're saying yes to that project, that we're reaching out to people, that we're, that we're doing something towards our purpose/purposeful next project. Whether it's writing notes, like for me on this trip, I haven't written more of the book, but I have written notes and I've been percolating, right? I've been letting things simmer, but definitely like I'm on it. I'm on it in here and in here. And once we are, again, we just see that being an energetic match for what is finding us on the outside, for what our husbands, for what the guides in Paris, for, the hotels that we find in Berlin. Like literally every single part of this journey has been, the hotels, etc., either close to a cemetery, talk about death. 2 gentlemen, again, telling me about their death books. I mean, really? Like I've never, until I said yes to this death book, I never had talked to another author, or meaning another writer of a death book. I had never seen this many cemeteries before. And the second that I said yes, it was like, again, like when I was pregnant women everywhere. When I got my BMW, oh my gosh, everybody has a BMW. It's like, that's not necessarily true. But because our focus is now on this thing, that thing, we're seeing it everywhere. In other words, we are seeing the, the match to it. We're seeing, we're basically, confirming our own self on this path. Like, because I, keep running into cemeteries and keep having people to talk to me about death, or people that want to talk about death, or, we ran into, again, a Buddhist temple the other day, and then that owner of the Buddhist temple said, hey, just down the street here, like half a minute, my neighbor, her property here in County Clare, sits on the burial ground of King Cormac, the one of the long-standing kings here in Ireland. And then we go there, and anyways, again, just more talk about these just really interesting, beautiful stories about living, about dying, but about living. And again, it's just been such a great confirmation to me about not feeling, allowing the resistance to work through me, to walk through me, to let go, because I have been feeling some resistance around the book. And I can tell you that this trip has been such a trip in confirmation. in that stamp of confirmation. Not that I felt I needed, but that clearly the universe wanted me to share in, that wanted to give to me, so that I could continue to walk on this path, because it is such a needed path. Meaning of me writing this book, yes, for myself, and then of me writing this book for the many others who will read the information that is not information, who will read, who will feel themselves in this book as well. There's never been such a time as this, meaning, we get to, as a society and as communities, to talk more about death, to talk more about these different experiences in life that are truly a part of life. They are a part of our life cycle. It is okay to talk about death. It is okay to talk about mental health. More than okay. It is okay to talk about suicide. It is okay to talk about divorce. It is okay to talk about miscarriage. It's okay to talk about all these things that we normally, speaking of, keeping tight to our chest, that we normally keep so tightly wound inside of us, thinking we can't go there. It's not socially acceptable, or it's, I don't want to bring things down. We're not bringing things down. The whole point of talking about these things, and the whole point of me, writing this book, is to bring things up, is to lighten things up, is to enlighten things, is to shed a light on a particular subject that does not need to be as dark as it is. Death is not dark. Death is a continuation of life. It's a different kind of energy. It's a different kind of life. Now I'm getting more into, of course, the vibe of the book, but you can, I'm sure, feel the energy there, the passion that I have to share this information, and knowing that it has so much more to do, with everything beyond death. In other words, all of the topics and the themes and the things that we normally don't want to talk about. So all of those unpopular things, guess what? They hold our power. The more that we don't want to talk about them, they keep us not creative. They keep us not creating to our full potential. They keep us from those passion projects. They keep us from purpose. So I hope that, this book that I'm writing, and definitely, in these live streams as well, as I share with you all, insight, is that I hope that it is not just to talk about death. It is not just, or I should say, insight and perspective around death and or dying. That it really is an opening, and literally it's starting to rain right now. The skies are opening here in County Clare. That it really is an opening for all of us, an opening of our eyes, an opening of our hearts, an opening of an understanding that says, the more that we can shine a light on the things that we normally, as a society, as a community, for centuries, for years, for family, decades, the more that we can open all of that up and talk about it and convert, not just talk about it once, but converse about it, continue to communicate about it, is when we will really feel the freedom, the ability to fully create to our heart's content, to truly make good on our purpose, because we have multiple purposes here on this planet. If you're anything like me, I believe that there isn't just one purpose that we're here to make good on. We are here because we are multi-purposed. We are multi-dimensional. We are multi-purposed. We are multi-sensory. We are, multi-passionate. We're multiple of everything. And so to get after all those multiple passions, to get after the multiple passions, to get after our true personalities that want to do so many different things to affect the world in so many different ways, we need to release this idea that the things that we have not talked about for years need to stay that way. So I really hope that I trust that my book is going to continue to do that in this world. And there's a lot of people, in that same movement, right? To sort of not just be truth tellers, but just to really use their lives, their stories, their work, their familyhood, their parenthood, their romantic relationship, really using everything they have, all those limbs, all those extensions of themselves to say the same thing, to say, hey, it's okay to be fully human. It's okay to talk about all the things that we normally don't talk about. And to close this up, it is such a wonderful experience to say yes to that next creative, that next biggest creative project, and know that in the smallest way that you say yes, the universe, the world, the people around you will absolutely conspire, will lock arms with one another to help you bring that to fruition. The right people will come into your life. The right information will come into your life. The right book will come into your life, just as it has for me on this trip. But it cannot be the energetic match for you if you aren't being that energy, if you aren't being that energy out into the world. So, it says you can't hear me. Hi, Michelle. Joshy, can you hear me?
I don't know, I'm not trying.
Oh, okay. Bummer. Well, tell me. Oh, no, I'm not driving. I forgot that the driver's side is on the other side of the car. All right. So Michelle says she can't hear me, but I am going to hope and trust that the other peeps on the live stream have heard me. Michelle, hello. Thank you for letting me know. Maybe it's your phone. We'll see. And okay, there. She says it's working. So let us all work to play to working. I should say, let's all play towards purpose, and know that the magic will be there. The right people, the right information, the right experiences. So now that it's raining here, you can start it. We're going to keep going to our next experience, and I'm going to check this live stream to see if you've been able to hear me at the start. I think you could. Maybe it was just when it started to rain. All right, everyone, have a great morning, afternoon, early morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. Enjoy your life, and I will chat with you soon.